This podcast is releasing on the day Mercury stationed retrograde, but it was recorded before that, so hopefully we can minimize the mishaps. Last week, I regaled you with talk of mega penguins in the intro, but this week, I've got nothing for you. The World Series has been the only thing that's been taking up time and space in my household and brain. My husband and I are both Dodgers fans. I recently cast the most accurate chart I could for the Dodgers. It's hard when an entity has such a long and rich history to really find the quote-unquote birth date. They were actually the Brooklyn Dodgers, which means they're from New York, not LA. The reason they're even called the Dodgers is because of their Brooklyn roots. People had to dodge trolley cars and other things in the street when they were in the city, so that's where they got the name. So even though the Dodgers may reside in LA, they have deep East Coast roots. I'm an Aries moon jock at heart, and if there was a market for astrology and sports to collide, you bet I would be there. I mean, who knows? Baseball is an extremely superstitious sport. It's something I love about it, and there was even talk through the season about people who were paying Etsy witches to help us win games. So who knows? Maybe I'll be the first major league astrologer. In baseball, anything can happen. And just when I said I had nothing for you, a small tangent found its way in. Please be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a tangent. Who knows what I'll bring up next? And while there can never be enough baseball, let's table that for now and dive into this week's drama-filled forecast. Mercury stations retrograde today. Jupiter stations retrograde Tuesday. If there's one thing you need to know about the energy of the week at hand, it's that it's ushering in a major slowdown. We all know Mercury retrogrades are a time of communication mishaps, technology breakdowns, and transportation issues. This kind of energy has been steadily ramping up because we've been in the retrograde shadow periods for both Mercury and Jupiter for a while now, but this week it becomes very apparent that the world is moving at a different pace. Not only is Mercury stationing retrograde, but it's also in detriment for half of the transit. It does change signs and ingress back into Scorpio halfway through, but for the entire month of November on the whole, Mercury is going to be engaging in retrograde activities. It actually stations direct on my birthday, so that's kind of cute for my solar return chart, but we will be feeling the Mercury retrograde effect all month long. When Mercury changes signs, it is going to chill out a little bit. Going from mutable fire to fixed water is a totally different vibe. Mercury being back in Scorpio is going to feel like we're looking for something we lost, forgot, or we need to double check something. It's like when my husband and I go to sleep every night. If someone says, "Did you lock the door?" Even if we know for a fact the door is locked, one of us has to get up and go check. It's just how it is. That's kind of what the Scorpio portion of the retrograde will be like. You'll have a really good idea of what it is you're looking for, or you already know most of the details, but you just can't help yourself from going back and giving it another glance. Who knows? You might catch something you missed, but it's also likely that we're just ruminating or being obsessive about something within the realm of Scorpio. Either way, do your due diligence and go get up and check if the door is in fact locked. One of the core aspects that's happening this week is with Mercury. The freshly stationed planet of communication will be hitting a strong conjunction with Mars in Sagittarius, smack dab in the middle of the week. This paired with the retrograde energy, the detrimental dignity, and the ruler of Mercury also stationing retrograde means that there's some highly unpredictable energy swirling around us midweek. Mouths will be moving quicker than minds, and there's a propensity to take action without even a second thought, or a first thought at that. This combustion of the mind is going to be within the realm of Sagittarius, and it's going to kick off some of the bigger events that pertain to the Sagittarius portion of Mercury's retrograde. Try not to burn it all down to the ground. That's what Sagittarius does, and I'm speaking from experience here. When something annoys you midweek, do not take out of control, drastic measures to deal with it. Take action, yes, Mars is involved, so we need to take action of some kind, but try to keep the bigger picture in mind. Don't let the details bother you. Stay focused on your bigger vision and rid yourself of distractions or irritations. Mercury in Sagittarius has a hard time taking things seriously. All of Sagittarius energy has a hard time taking things seriously. So when Mars pushes you midweek, try to find the cosmic humor in whatever it is you're dealing with. Humor is one of the best ways to soothe Sagittarius. It's the Sagittarian coping mechanism of choice. So instead of going full Zeus, thunder, and lightning, try to laugh, because that's something that people don't really talk about. You hear a lot about Aries and their temper and their anger, or Leo and how cutting they can be and how dramatic they can be. But you never hear much about the Sagittarian temper and what that fire is like. And it's because that fire just burns everything to the ground. It incinerates everything in front of it and without thinking. So we really need to try to slow down. Remember, Mercury is going to be retrograde when this conjunction takes place. So we need to give a first thought, a second thought, and maybe even a third thought. And if we can't get there, if we can't get ourselves to just stop and slow down, then we need to just laugh. We need to find the humor in whatever is irritating us, because otherwise we're going to make a mess of things. By the weekend, this aspect with Mercury and Mars, it wanes, and we'll be back to the typical Sagittarian tomfoolery, a lot less fire, a lot less haste, a lot less irritation. So again, try not to make a mess of things midweek, because you will have to go back and clean it up once Mercury stations direct. Don't make more work for yourself. The other retrograde beginning this week lasts a lot longer than just through the month of November. It still has ties to Sagittarius, though, because this planet happens to be the ruler of Sagittarius. It's none other than Daddy Zeus, aka Jupiter. Jupiter stations retrograde in the sign of Cancer and will remain in the sign of Cancer throughout all of its retrograde motion, and this retrograde is going to take us into March of next year. Jupiter's transit is something that I personally have been waiting for. I've been shitting on Jupiter and Cancer since the summer, and I feel like that's something that only a child of Jupiter would do, laugh boldly in the face of the planet of fate and fortune itself. But for real, I've yet to see the exalted goodness that Jupiter and Cancer is so destined to bring. Part of that is because Jupiter has been engaging in a square or a trine with Saturn off and on for a while now. The reason it's been a square or a trine is because of Saturn moving between Pisces and Aries. So while I have been shitting on Jupiter, I also know the reason why the exalted status has been lackluster at times. It's because Saturn and Jupiter have been going back and forth and sort of keeping each other in check. They haven't been allowing each other to do the full thing they want to do. And this retrograde is such a big deal, in my mind at least, it's a big deal, and it's going to be good because it's finally going to put some real distance between them. Saturn is stationing direct later this month, which means it's going to be moving forward. With Jupiter stationing retrograde, it means it's going to be moving backwards, at least perceived backwards anyway. By the end of December, there will be enough distance between these two titans that they won't be influencing each other anymore. That means Jupiter can get back to feeling more free and granting wishes on a whim, but it also means that Saturn is losing some of its softness. So to all my Saturn and Pisces people, come the end of December, brace yourselves for that last little bit. You don't have much longer, but you do need to buckle down for about the last 2 months of your time with Saturn. But back to Jupiter. Once Jupiter frees itself from the aspects with Saturn, it is still retrograde, but it is free to reassess growth and reestablish faith within the realm of Cancer. Because that's a really big part of Jupiter in Cancer. Faith and feelings. Facts need not apply. This placement wants blind faith and trust. It's about putting emotional and intuitive currency into something. Jupiter's retrograde is much longer than Mercury's, so give this area some time to cook, let it simmer, and allow yourself to recalibrate your emotions in the realm of Cancer. Because we may be having a change of heart, a spiritual shift, or be applying new wisdom within the realm of Cancer. We need to have faith that what we're emotionally investing in is worth the effort. But the biggest thing about Jupiter, especially Jupiter in Cancer, is the belief in what you're nurturing in itself. It's like when someone says they don't believe in ghosts, they'll find any explanation to say it's not a ghost. If you don't believe in what Jupiter in Cancer is creating, then you'll find any reason to discredit it. Remember that Jupiter is opposing everything in Capricorn, and we're going to have a lot of Capricorn transits in the coming months. So there's going to be a lot of testing your faith and testing your belief in something. Give yourself emotionally, spiritually, and intuitively over to Jupiter and Cancer. Trust the process and nourish this area of life with your full emotional support. I have more information on Jupiter and Mercury's retrograde in the Retrograde Guide editions of my zine. They're both available in my shop for one-time purchase and part of my patron package as well. I also cover the Mercury-Mars conjunction in more detail in my weekly horoscopes, so consider patron benefits if you want to support my work. It's a retrograde-filled week, but we know better than to fear the retrograde. These astrological events are like built-in spell check for our insignificant human lives. That's another thing. All this Jupiterian retrograde energy may make us a little more existential than usual. So if you're not used to these existential waters, don't freak out. The water's just fine. It might be a little doom and gloom if you're a nihilist, but also a lot of fun if you're an absurdist. It all depends on your philosophical perspective. Have a great week. Go read some Epictetus to ground yourself and take it slow while we adjust to the retrograde energy. Thank you for tuning into this week's forecast. If you want a more detailed look at what this week's astro weather holds for you personally, go to my website, moonmattersastrology.com, and sign up to receive my zine. You can also find me on Patreon by searching for Moon Matters. The best way to keep up to date with my work or to book a reading with me is to sign up for my mailing list on my website. I'll meet you back here next week, but until next time, later days.